Hello, everyone. My name is Yutaka Osakabe. I am your instructor for the theme Sintoism. I'm very much looking forward to learning with you over a bit of 3 hours, maybe a bit less, but don't be terrified. Probably my 3 classes will be most easygoing. I hope you will enjoy learning about Shintoism with me. But just don't worry, just sit back and enjoy learning new things about Shintoism. Before I continue, let me give you a brief introduction of myself. As you might have assumed, I am Japanese. I was born and raised in Japan. I was raised, I would say, a very typical Japanese family. I will tell you what it means a bit more later on. But my family wasn't a Christian. I was the first Christian in my immediate family. I have some Christian relatives overseas, but I was the only first Christian in my immediate family. My mother was a Catholic. She was baptized in a Catholic church when she was high school student, but she didn't keep her faith. She didn't practice her faith for so long. To make a very long story short, my parents come to my home church. My mother decided to become a Protestant. But my father still is, searching his faith. But to make very long story short, I was raised in a non-Christian family, and I was the first Christian in my immediate family. And now my parents come to my church, so I am so blessed. I truthfully thank God for my spiritual journey. So why I became a Christian? If my family didn't believe in Christianity. I went abroad when I was about 70 years old to the US, and my host family was a Christian. They took me to the church every Sunday, or every Sunday, not only Sunday, but Sunday, Thursday. Thursday, Friday. Whenever they could. So that was my first church experience. My first church experience was in the US. And after I went back to Japan, after 6 months, I decided to continue going to church because it was a very good experience to me. So I looked for the nearest church from my home, and I found my home church. And since then, I started to attending the service every Sunday. And one day, when I heard a sermon from my pastor, former pastor, about Matthew, when Jesus told him to stand up and follow him, I thought that's the message God is trying to give me. And even though I was a sinner, I was aware that I was a sinner. I thought to accept God's invitation to follow Jesus Christ. So that was when I accepted Jesus Christ as my savior. That was about 17 years old. And because my spiritual conversion was through Jesus calling Matthew to follow him. I immediately thought, oh, I want to serve him closely. So I decided to study Christianity at Tokyo Christian University. And then I again studied abroad at Biola University, which is in the US, in California. And that time I decided to, oh, maybe I enjoy studying. So I want to continue studying. So after I went back to Japan from Biola, I continued my education at the seminary and also graduate school in Tokyo. And finally, I thought myself, oh, I want to study even more. So I went abroad in the UK and did my doctorate in practical theology. That was about 4 years ago. So I came back from the UK about 4 years ago. My research wasn't about Shintoism, but more like how Christians should and can engage in public sphere in the secularized society. But that's for another time, that's for another story. Yes, so now I teach at various universities, including Tokyo Christian and other secular universities about Christianity. My field, my expertise is sociology of religion and practical theology. So I teach at various universities, but my main job is working at World Vision. I don't know if you ever heard of it. World Vision is a Christian organization. We are trying to help most vulnerable children around the world. So that's my main job, and I teach. I also do teaching at various universities. And the reason why I was asked to teach Shintoism, so why in the world you are teaching Shintoism? You might have that question. The reason why I was given this opportunity was that I also teach Japanese religion and philosophy, and Japanese religion in Japan, religion and society in Japan. Religion and society in Japan at Tokyo Christian Universities, and I teach Buddhism, Shintoism, and new religions, and violence and religion in Japan. As you might have guessed, I am not expertise of Shintoism. So that's why my 3 classes won't be too difficult. I hope you can enjoy though. But I'm not an expertise of Shintoism, but I hope to give you some insights. I still hope you to learn new things about Shintoism. I think it will be very, very interesting. Okay. Just a few housekeeping things. There will be some reflection guiding questions in the middle of my classes. So please, and to reflect guiding questions, I would like you to take a note, write it down, or type it down in your computer. So you need to either have a computer. I mean, you do have a computer if you're watching this. So if you prefer typing in, you can do that. And if you prefer writing down on paper, please prepare a pen and notebook right now. Okay, you can pause a recording and you can get your pen and notebook if you prefer. So that's one thing. And another thing is that it's not happening today, but in the next 2 classes, I will I would like you to watch some YouTube clips. I thought maybe I should show it here with you, but you all know that it won't be a good quality. So I will ask you to watch some YouTube clips. So when that happens, please pause the video and watch the YouTube clip that I suggested, and come replay the video. Okay, so but it's not happening today. Okay, so today I just want you to prepare to write it down or type in the computer when I ask you to reflect on my questions. Okay, so that's the introduction and brief housekeeping stuff. So this is the tables of the 3 following classes. Today I will focus on Shinto culture and Japanese religiosity. So that's what I'm going to do today. And tomorrow, the second video will be about Shinto, its brief history. And third and lastly, the topic will be on Shinto and politics, resilience of Japanese Christians. That's the three main topics of my time in the next three classes. So the first theme is Shinto culture and Japanese religiosity. I'm sure you all know, so okay, why Shinto and Japan? Okay, because you will learn more later on, but Shinto is the particular unique religion to Japanese culture. So that's why I will introduce you a bit more about Japanese culture, because Japanese culture and Shintoism are closely tied. It's really hard to separate the two. So yeah, so Japan. So I'm sure you all know where Japan is. It's the next to China, Korea, and Russia. The size is, I'm really bad at reading numbers, but its size is 378,000. How to say it? You can read that. It's 1/3 of the size of Colombia. So it's quite small country, but the population is quite large. It's about what you see there. Okay, so it's a small country, but it's packed. Lots of skyscrapers, especially in the cities. By the way, I live almost in the heart of Tokyo. So within 2 or 3 minutes, I will be surrounded by very tall skyscrapers. So the size is 1/3 of Colombia, because I heard that some of you are from Colombia. So I thought it would be helpful to compare the 2 countries, Japan and Colombia. And the population it's quite large for that size for that size. So that's Japan, but let's reflect more on Japanese culture. So this is my first reflection questions for you. So please prepare a notebook or type in your computer. When you heard the word Japan, when you think of Japan, what comes to your mind? When you think of, or when you heard of Japan, when you hear the word Japan, what comes to your mind? So let's take a few moments and write it down. You can pause the video. Okay, so I hope you took some time and to think about these questions. Unfortunately, I can't know what you wrote down, but okay, maybe it's a bit silly, but maybe you might this so for some people this came to your mind. Anime or manga, Japanese culture. Some people are really big fan of Japanese anime and manga. I don't know if this anime is popular in your country, but I've heard this is quite popular among other countries. So this was my favorite when I was young, Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, so when you think about Japan, maybe manga comes to your mind first, or maybe this. I hope some of you know what's going on here. This is they are small wrestlers, so very large, very tough wrestlers wrestling each other, and I'm sure you know about this small culture in Japan. Or if you like food, you might think about this sushi. It's raw fish, or it doesn't have to be raw fish, by the way. Most fish are raw, but it doesn't have to be raw. Fish on the rice, basically. So sushi. You might think about sushi when you heard the word Japan. Or some of you might thought about this building. This is a shrine, beautiful shrine. And this is the sacred building for Sintoism. So yes, Japan has lots of culture, lots of things to see, things to watch, things to know. But among those huge lists of things, it's true. It's not wrong to say that shrine and Shintoism comes top 5, maybe. When people think about Japan, probably many people will think about Shintoism and shrine. Yeah, but how well, maybe you know well about anime or sumo wrestling or sushi, but how well you know about Shintoism? Okay. Just a few numbers to give you. There are 88,000 shrines in Japan, and there are 11,000 priests in Japan. Maybe this number surprises you or disappointed you. I'm not sure, but how this is a lot. This is a lot. How much a lot is this number is. It is very hard to tell you, but it's more than convenience stores in Japan. There are many convenience stores in Japan. It's convenience stores are at every corner of a block in Japan, especially in the cities. You encounter convenience stores as you walk. Some convenience stores are just next to each other. Yeah, you can see convenience stores everywhere in Japan, but the number of shrines are more than that. Okay, so that's how big this number is, 88,000 shrines. But when you see the number of priests, you can tell that there are more shrines than priests. So that means one priest has to take care of a few shrines, and the number of priests decline. But still, the number of shrines a lot, and the number of priests a lot. So it's safe to say that Shintoism is very noticeable, important religion in Japan, even in terms of number. Yes, and there are believed to be 89.5 million followers, Shinto followers in Japan. That's about 74% of Japanese population. Yes, so the number of shrines a lot, and the followers are majority. So that's how Shinto can stand for in Japan. Okay, so the number is a lot, but how deeply Shinto culture exists in Japan, I will show you a few slides. So this is unfortunately this doesn't happen every week, but it happens once or twice a year. And a full pack of people in the shrine. You can see the small things. That's all people. Many Japanese people go to shrines on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So this is the photo from those days. But yes, this doesn't happen a lot. But many people, quite few people, visit shrines regularly. There are some small shrines near my house, and when in the morning, sometimes I take a walk, and I see some. Not only older people, but businessman stops by at shrine and do some prayers and go to work. So yes, this doesn't happen a lot, but once or twice a year, the shrine can be packed of people, and even during the day, some people, quite a few people, still go to shrines, visit shrines regularly. And so that's one scene of Shintoism in Japan, and this is the second one. Shrines are very popular sightseeing places for Japanese people, or for tourists from overseas as well. But even for Japanese people, it's a very popular sightseeing place. People like to visit shrines. You know, it's very beautiful, right? There's a popular sightseeing places, and people get married in the shrine. Yeah, and I will tell you a bit more about the wedding, but more and more young people like to get married in the shrine. Shrine wedding has become popular compared to 10, 20 years ago. Shrine wedding attracts young people. And this is shrine can be important place for important family events. Family parents, when they have a child, they like to take those children and get blessings. So that's 4 scenes of Shintoism in Japan. First one was, yes, they go to shrines for very important days like New Year's Eve and New Year. Okay, or maybe some people go regularly for prayer. Okay, so place for prayer. Secondly, it's a place for sightseeing. People like to visit. And third, people get married in the shrine. And shrine is a place for important family events. So these Japanese people's behaviors might suggest Shinto is at Japanese people's heart and playing very important role in Japanese people's lives. Right. Okay. So Japanese, if these Japanese people's behaviors might suggest that. Actually, some sociologists of religion find fascinated about this Japanese people's behavior towards Shintoism. It's not only about Shintoism, religion in general, but including Shintoism. Some sociologists of religion found it very, very fascinating. And why is that? Because the secularization theory, it's a theory that it's a theory about how modern society has becoming more and more secularized. So people leaving religions in the West, especially in the West. So basically, on the secularization theory, people believe that modernity and religion cannot go along, cannot go together. When a society is modernized, religion is usually disappearing. Okay, so that's the secularization theory. But some sociologists of religion argue that Japan is an exception, because for them it seems that modernity and religious belief are coexisting in Japan. For example, Jose Casanova, Rodney Stark, very, very important sociologist of religion, they say that it's an example of how secularization theory might be wrong, because when you see Japanese people's behavior, although Japan is so modernized, okay, but people still practice religions very, very regularly. And for them, it seems that Japanese people take religion very, very seriously. Okay. However, the number cannot lie. So Japanese national character, according to Japanese National Character Survey. Sorry, it's a bit old, but they don't take survey very often. So Japanese National Character Survey, 70% of Japanese people said, "I have no faith." Okay. 70% said, "I do not have any personal religious faith," okay, or do not follow any religions. It's a striking number. If you're following the slides that I showed you in the previous 10 minutes, this number might shock you. Okay, 70% of Japanese people say, "No, I have no faith," and this number is growing. This number is growing. Okay, so this class is not about Japanese Christianity, but I tell you how, you might think about, okay, how many people are Christians in Japan? It's quite difficult to have a definite number, but it's believed to be Christian populations are less than 1%. So it's a Japanese Christianity is the most minor, it's a very minor religion in Japan. Okay. And people say, I have no faith, it's growing. This number is growing. And there are some signs for lack or decline of religiosity in Japan. Active in religion, meaning I participate in religious rituals, evangelism, etc. Its number is decreasing from 15% to 11%. The number of people say, I read sacred texts regularly, from 10% to 6%. The number of people who say, I pray regularly, 16 to 11%. Okay. So these numbers tell you that, yes, might suggest, this number suggest, yes, there's a lack and decline of religiosity in Japan. However, the reason why I'm giving you this, telling you this number is that the reason why I'm showing this number to you is that I would like to confuse you about how Japanese religiosity is complicated and how it is tied with Shintoism. Okay, so bear with me just a few in the next few minutes. Okay, so there are some signs, definite signs that Japanese religiosity is weakened. However, there are also numbers that might suggest oppositely. Okay, so people say, I believe in afterlife. It's increasing from 20 to 40%. People who say, I visit grave. I visit grave. 62 to 72%. Those who say, I believe in charms. So charm is like this. It's a small thing. It's more like it's like a Catholic rosario. People, the thing you carry to protect you. Okay, so that's the charm. 30% to 34%. People who say, I do casual prayer, 23 to 28%. And those who say, I believe in fortune telling, 19% to 24%. Okay, so these numbers are striking. Whilst the people who say, I believe in religion, or I read texts regularly, or I participate in evangelism, so those numbers are declining. But those people who say, I believe in afterlife, I believe in grave visits, I believe in charms, I believe in cultural prayer, I believe in fortune things, these numbers are increasing. And also, there is a spiritual boom in Japan. So this guy is a very famous fortune teller, and it's a celebrity fortune teller. So fortune teller can be very popular and famous in Japan. And it used to be, he's not as popular as before, but he appeared in the TV program very often. He was very, very popular. Okay. And many magazines and TV programs have horoscope or fortune telling section. Yeah, so fortune tellings in the magazines and TV programs are very popular. People like it. People are very much interested in knowing their future or knowing their fortune. Okay, so there is a spiritual boom. And I would like you to think about this question. Why do you think those who believe in spirituality, like afterlife, casual play, fortune telling, etc., and spiritual boom, why do you think those who believe in spirituality rise in Japan? Okay. Well, before you begin, there is no answer. I won't give you answer, but I would like to still think about why is that? Because it's a very important question to pose. Okay, so I give you a few minutes. So you can pause the video. Okay, so I hope you took some time on thinking about these questions. Why do you think those who believe in spirituality rise? Okay. Some people are very much fascinated about this confusion. A guy wrote this blog entitled "Japan, the most religious atheist country," and this is a very interesting blog. So you can find his blog. There I left a URL on the bottom. So he asked this question: how can one country be stimulously so atheistic and so religious? So why this question? Where this question comes from? You already know. People say it seems people like religious stuff. When we observe people going into the shrines, participate in religious rituals, go there as a sightseeing place. Shrines, Shintoism, not only Shintoism but religion as a whole, but especially religion. It seems people like Shintoism. Still, people say, "Oh no, I don't have any faith. I don't believe in God." So that's really confusing for many people, especially people in the West, maybe like you guys. How can one country be simultaneously so atheistic and so religious? How strange Japanese people are. I will continue. Well, yes, I think Japanese people are very strange people, including myself, maybe. There's a very interesting finding based on, according to the Agency for Cultural Affairs in Japan, because there is a noticeable contradiction. Okay, so government takes census, right? And government takes a census. They ask people a number of questions, like what your occupation, what your occupation is, what your age, what's your gender, various questions. I'm sure your government does that too. And there's a section for religion, and you are asked to pick religion that you think you think it rights. government asks you, okay, please pick the religion that you're affiliated with or you belong to. Okay. The total number of people is this 209 million people. So 209 million people say, oh, I affiliated to Shintoism or Buddhism or other Christianity or others. Okay. And the total number are 209 million. Okay. If you're good at memorizing, you already found, oh, something is wrong. Because, as I told you, Japanese population is 127.1 million. Okay. Something wrong here. You can notice it, right? It means that quite number of people picked more than one religions. Okay. Oh, I belong to Buddhist and Shintoism, or oh, I am affiliated to Buddhism and Christianity. Okay, and that's why it's the number of people who said I'm religious, affiliated with certain religions is more than the number of people in Japan. So these contradictions is a key to understand Japanese religiosity, and it's the key to understand how Shintoism is affecting this particular, very unique Japanese religiosity. And the unique of Japanese religiosity, unique aspect of Japanese religiosity is demonstrated in this illustration. So this one picture describes Japanese religiosity, the unique aspect of Japanese religiosity quite well. So you can see in the left, very left, you see a couple marrying in the church. Okay. But when they have a children, they like to take children to the shrine for get blessings. And when they die, they like their family to have a funeral in the Buddhist temple. Okay, so this is not three different. This is not a picture for showing three different families dealing with these religions, but it's one same family. A couple wants to get married in the church, but they want to get blessings from the shrines, but they want to die in the temple, Buddhist temple. Okay, so how this picture is telling us about unique aspect of Japanese religiosity. Oh, I had few more slides. So yeah, Japanese people, a couple getting married in the church. Even though they don't say they believe in Christianity or they have a faith in God. It doesn't matter. Okay, so they get married in the church. And the right side, you see a couple celebrating Christmas. Christmas in Japan is a romantic event. It's not a family or religious event. A couple get together and have dinner and have a romantic evening. So that's how Christmas is about in Japan. So these two pictures are telling you how Japanese people don't care much about whether they believe in Christianity. When they think it looks great, when they think it looks beautiful and romantic, they do that. They get married in the church or they celebrate Christmas together, even though they don't They don't have any religion, so they don't have any faith in God, or they don't believe that Christmas is a day to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. I think not many Japanese people know what Christmas is about, but they don't really care about that. And then after they get married, and when they have children, they take children to the shrine for getting blessings. You know, it's beautiful. It's a children's event. It's a family event. So large family can get together and celebrate children's growing. It's a very popular event. And you know, look at those children. They look quite pretty. They like to do that. Yeah. And yes, they when they die, they like to have a funeral at the temple, Buddhist temple. The Buddhist funeral is quite popular, and also there is a festival called Obon. Sorry, this is more about Buddhism rather than Sintoism. But Obon festival is about worshiping ancestors, paying respect for ancestors. So yes, my point is, Japanese a couple get married in the church, get blessings from the shrines, and die in the temple, Buddhist temple. So what does it mean, and how is it anything to do with Shintoism? Unique aspect of Japanese religiosity is that they don't care much about religions. They are quite easygoing. Okay. They don't like to belong in one particular religion, and they don't want to deeply involved in any particular religions. For example, they like to get married in the church, but they don't like to learn deeply about Christianity. They're not interested in the teaching. They are just fascinated by the culture of Christianity. And for them, it's not strange to choose more than one religion when the government asks you that particular question. They don't feel it's strange. They don't feel uncomfortable with doing that. So that's a very unique aspect of Japanese religiosity. And the guy who wrote this blog, Japan, the most religious atheist country, it's very clever. It's a very smart writing. So I will read it to you, some of it. Certainly, one of the big problems with saying that the Japanese are atheist is that atheism requires there to be a God to not believe in. Instead, Japanese religions are somewhat unclear on the matter. After all the kami, so kami is a translation of the word God. Okay, so after all, are the kami, spirits, and ancestral entities that make up the Japanese indigenous beliefs really equivalent to the God of the Abrahamic religions? In his book, Rush Hour of the Gods, Neil McFarland found that the definition of kami God was tough to categorize. Fundamental life principles, celestial bodies, natural forces, topographical features, natural objects, certain animals, the spirits of the dead, and even influential people could all happily be included in a concise definition of the kami. It is a little difficult to say that you don't believe in natural forces and fundamental life principles. Instead, young reader believes that you have to consider Japanese culture and religion as a whole, and trying to separate one from the other isn't always possible. Japanese society and culture are interestingly interwoven with religious themes. He writes, Japanese religion is a deep and continuing stream of religious motifs interwoven with rather than separate from other aspects of Japanese life and society. He concludes, in other words, religion in Japan isn't something that you can choose whether to believe or not to believe in. It's so prevalent and all-encompassing that one cannot exist without the other. It's a very interesting writing, and I think it's a very smart writing. It captures enigma, wonder of Japanese religiosity. And so the last sentence, he said, religion in Japan isn't something that you can choose whether to believe or not believe. In order to understand what he's saying here, Shintoism is the key. Religious priority as is a major characteristics of Japanese religion, and Shintoism is closely tied with this characteristic of religious priority in Japan. I will about to close today's class, but in the next class, I will unpack how exactly Shintoism is the influence has influence of establishing this religious priority. It's hard to say, religious priority in Japan. So when I say religious priority, that people when I say religious priority, I mean that people don't feel uncomfortable with choosing more than one priority, more than one religions. People believe that we should accept many religions. We shouldn't choose one religion. We can believe in many religions. So that's basically, to simplify it. That's how I mean religious priority here today. Okay, and Shintoism is something to do with this characteristic, and I will tell you more about it in the next class. And if you are interested in that area, you can. I'm not sure you can access this in your country, but Toshimaru Ama wrote the book entitled "Why Are the Japanese Non-Religious? Japanese Spirituality Being Non-Religious in a Religious Culture." If you're interested in that, this guy did a very good job. A very interesting book, a very thin book, so you can read it maybe in one day or two. Yeah, so you can read that if you want to follow up. So today was the first topic, Shinto culture and Japanese religiosity. I introduced you how Shinto culture is deeply rooted in Japanese people's lives. It looks like deeply rooted in Japanese people's lives, but Japanese people, when you when you start to dig in, the content of Japanese religiosity, it tells you a different story, because Japanese people say, no, I have no religions. I don't have any faith. On the one side, it seems people like participating in religious events. And people seems interested in religious culture, and including Shintoism. And however, on the other hand, if you start looking at what they really believe, they say no. The Japanese religiosity, it's quite unique and confusing. Okay, so today my objectives can be met if I successfully demonstrated you those 2 points. Okay, Shinto culture and Japanese religiosity. And in the next class, I will tell you more directly about Shinto. So this is the final reflection questions. So please write them down. Write down your answers, or type in your answers in your computer. What surprised you most today, and what interested in you most today? Okay. The second question: what is one thing that you learned today, and that you want to tell those who don't know anything about Shinto? Imagine your friend or family. If they don't know anything about Shintoism, what is the one thing that you want to tell them from what you heard today? And lastly, how did today's content make you reflect your own Christian faith? Okay. How did today's content make you reflect your own faith? So those are the 3 reflecting questions. Okay. So that's all for today. I look forward to seeing you in the next class.